Okay, Team Impact. Probably going to be utilizing the video today because a lot of people are just finishing the test. I'm passing tests back, quizzes, I should say, from yesterday. But we are moving on. We're moving on to three-dimensional figures. We're going to kind of skip through a few of these pages and then get into the next lesson, which is surface area. So this is probably going to be a long video. So let's get into it. What is a solid? All right, a solid is made up of three things. All right, a solid has a face. All right, is a flat surface. And blank is a line segment connecting two faces. Well, that's called an edge. E-D-G-E. All right, and then a vertex, let me get that written, is a point connecting three or more edges. All right, so let's take a look at this rectangular prism here. Rectangular prism. So this is pointing to an edge, and I'm going to go ahead and switch up to red so you can see it a little bit better. This is an edge. Okay. This is pointing to the point, the pivot point. This is called a vertex, V-E-R-T-E-X, and then that's called a face. All right, so if we look at this figure, it has multiple faces, multiple vertexes, and multiple vertices, I should say, and multiple edges, right? All right, let's slide down here. All right, so let's take a peek at this first one. All right, and in the first one, let's take a look and see how many faces. We're not going to do all of these, but I think it's important to identify some things here, right? So how many faces do we have? We'll have a front and a back, a left and a right, and a top and a bottom. So that would be 6 faces, right? How many edges does it have? Well, if you count all of these line segments and go around and count them all, you would end up with 12. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I'm not going to do that. You can do that. Vertices are the pivot points, and you can clearly see that there are 8. All right, so on a rectangular prism, that's consistent, right? 6 faces, 12 edges, 8 vertices. All right, so let's take a look at this next one here. This next one is a type of pyramid. Well, let's look at the base and identify what this is. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a hexagonal, all right, pyramid, right? So let's take a look at this. How many faces does it have? Well, if it's hexagonal, it's 6 sides. So I know there's 6, and the base is 7. How many edges would it have? Well, if I went around and counted all of these edges, and down here, these are all edges, those little line segments, I would end up with 12. And how many vertices does it have? How many pivot points does it have? Well, you would count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 7. So pretty neat stuff here, okay? And when we get into this and finding surface area, that's where the work is going to start. So this is pretty easy, right? Okay, next one up. What do we have here? Well, let's count our bases here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is an octagonal prism. 8 sides, octagon. All right, so how many faces does it have? Well, there's 8, 9, and the top is 10. How many edges, right? I'm going to save us a little time, but you could count all of those, and there's a bunch in an octagonal prism. 24. There's a lot of them. If you were counting all of these edges around there. And a lot of times when people do this, they use different colors, a pen or a pencil to switch it up. Now, how many pivot points do we have? Is 16 if we go around and count all of those. All right, so we're only going to do 3 more, and then we're going to kind of skip to the next lesson because we could do this. You're kind of getting the idea of this, of what a solid is and how they're made up. So let's take a look at this next one. All right, the next one's called a triangular prism. It has a base of 2 triangles. So how many faces does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, and the face is 5. How many edges? All right, so go ahead and try and count all the edges and vertices and really try to finish all of these up on this side. Pause the video. That would be an idea for you so you can get the idea of this. But in this case, there are 9 edges. How many vertices? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 6 vertices. Okay. Next up, we have a rectangular pyramid. okay? Over here, this was a hexagonal pyramid. This is a rectangular one. This is like Egypt, right? So how many faces does it have? 4 and 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and the base is 5. Edges, let's count them. There's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Vertices, I see 5. That was an easy one, right? All right, last one here. This is a triangular pyramid, right? And it has a triangular base, right? That identifies the pyramid. Here it was hexagonal. Here it was rectangular. This is a triangular a pyramid. If you look over here, all right, this has 2 bases. That's why these are prisms, okay? But anyway, faces. How many faces does this have? Well, that's pretty easy. That's 4. Edges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And vertices, we clearly can see 4. So you're kind of getting the idea of this whole thing. And let's just go ahead to the next page and identify some pieces on this next page here, okay? All right. So, all right, so the next page, all right? So we have a prism and we have a pyramid, as I talked about earlier, all right? A prism has 2 bases, a pyramid has 1 base, and we identify the pyramid by the base, all right? All right, so really quickly, this is a pyramid, all right? Because it has 1 square base or rectangular base, I can't tell what it is. The next one is a prism. What type of prism is this? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be a pentagonal prism, right? Remember our rapid fire sessions are starting to touch back, right? The next one is also a prism. Can you identify it? Well, it looks to be a rectangular prism, right? And then finally, this is a pyramid, all right? And could you identify this type of pyramid? It would be a triangular pyramid because the base right here is a triangle. Over here, the base was a rectangle, and that's why it was a rectangular pyramid. Here, these are 2 prisms. This is a rectangular prism. The bases are rectangles. Here, this is a pentagonal prism because the bases are pentagons, right? So let's just go down through these very quickly. And I'm moving quick because this is pretty easy stuff. And I'm going to abbreviate this. We have a rectangular, rectangular prism. Here we have a triangular pyramid. All right. Here, what is this thing? We better talk about this. So it looks like to me this is parallel to this, so that's a trapezoid. It has 1 set of parallel sides. The bases are trapezoid. So this is a trapezoidal, all right, trapezoidal prism. Okay, because it has 2 bases and they are trapezoids. Okay. All right, let's take a peek at this. How many sides does this have? And clearly, if you counted my ticks there, you would see that this is a hexagon, and a hexagon has 6 sides, so it's a hexagonal prism. Why is this a prism and this not? This has 2 bases. This only has 1. Okay, number 12. We have another pyramid because it has 1 base. How many sides? Well, it's 5 sides. So this is a pentagonal pyramid. Okay. Now look what they did for us on number 14. Number 14 is unique because it has markings, so we know it's a square, right? It's going to be a square prism. Why a prism? It has 2 bases. Look at number 16. We know this is a pyramid, and I'm going to abbreviate that, but what type is it? Well, look at the opposite sides are equal, so this is a rectangular pyramid because it has 1 base and it's a rectangle. Number 18, last one was going to be a square pyramid. So it has 1 base, it's a square. These are what really are in Egypt, right? The pyramids, okay? So, all right, that's a good start. I'm going to leave that up there for just a second so you can pause and get caught up with me. We're 10 minutes into this video, and we're going to continue on to the next piece. Okay? All right, so if we flip the page, we can take a peek here. So now, what we're going to do is get into this, all right? And the homework is actually going to be homework 9, all right? And homework 9 has 1 page, all right? But I want to get into this thing and draw some nets and kind of go from there, okay? So what is a net, all right? A net is where you take a 3-dimensional figure and make it 2-dimensional, right? So it's where you fold it flat, right? So when we look at this, we have our dimensional here, and then we have a left and a right. We have a front and a back. We have a top, we have a bottom and a top, and they've already labeled those. Here I like to label those that way. So these are difficult to do, to draw these. I struggle with this. It's okay if you struggle with this, drawing these nets, okay? All right, so let's try and draw a net of this, and this is a rectangular prism. So I'm going to start with my base right here, right, and it's going to be a rectangle, right? So that's what it's laying on, okay? The front is a little bit shorter, so it's going to look like that. The left and the right, well, they're not as big as the top and the bottom, right? So I'm going to go like that, and that looks like so. So that takes care of that and that. I've taken care of the front. Okay, I've taken care of the top, right? I've got to take care of the back, right? And the back is a little piece, right? And then we have the top that will close it up. And mine looks like that. So this is the front, this is the back, the right, the left, the bottom, and the top. Okay? Let's take a peek at number 2. Number 2, we have a rectangular pyramid, right? And this is a different one here. So actually, I'm sorry, this is a triangular prism. I didn't see it correctly. So it has 2 bases of a triangle. So let's start with our triangle right here, okay? Now, if it's lying on its side, I know I have a rectangle right here. I also have a rectangle off of that vertex right there. I have a third rectangle on this side right there, okay? So now we have 2 options, or actually 3. We can add a triangle here, here, or here to close up the top. And I'm going to add it right here, and this would be a net of this. It's lying on this. This would fold up, this would fold up, this would fold up, and that would be the top, right? So this is a triangular prism. The bases are triangles, okay? And I hope your nets look better than mine. All right, let's flip it over and take a peek at this and continue our path. We have more nets to draw. I would recommend pausing the video to draw these. I'm going to keep chugging on here. Here we have another triangular prism. It's a little bit different. They're all different, right? So let's start with what it's sitting on. It's sitting on a rectangle. Would you agree? Right here. Yeah, right there. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a triangle here and draw a triangle here. Makes sense? Yeah, so those would be the sides. So I need to draw this face coming up, which is a rectangle, and the back face, which is another rectangle, okay? So that's a triangular prism. All right, we're going to go back to Egypt on number 4 and draw a rectangular pyramid. Let's start with our base, what it's sitting on. And the base is a rectangle. And now you can see that it's just 4 triangles. But we have to be careful with these triangles on the side. They're a little bit skinnier, aren't they? And the ones in the front and the back are a little bit bigger. So that would be a net of that. That's the 3-dimensional. This is the 2-dimensional figure. Okay? Let's continue on to number 5. We're going to draw a square pyramid. Why is it square? Because all four sides are equal and they've denoted the angles of 90 degrees. So let's draw a square here the best we can. All right, and let's just draw four congruent triangles. Congruent means equals, and do the best you can. Mine aren't the best. As I said before, these are a little bit off, but you're getting the idea. Okay? All right, we're on to the last one, and the last one, number 6, looks to be a triangular pyramid. So let me pull this up just a little bit for you here, and I'm going to start with a triangle. All right, I'm going to start with one just like that. Okay, and I'm just going to draw triangles off to the sides of this. All right, and there is what it looks like, and there's what it looks like. So here's the base, that folds up, that folds up, that folds up, and we have a pyramid. Okay? So, good stuff today, something different with geometry. Next up, we'll be finding the surface area of these nets, but if you flip the page, right, I want you to do homework. Let me circle this. 9, 1 to 10, that's it, okay? Make sure your con's working. And I may add a digital activity. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to take a peek, so I'll tell you about that in class. Have a good day, guys.